You know, ladies and gentlemen, with news coming out, backstage news and stuff coming out of the fact that WWE officials were not happy social media-wise with Survivor Series, and that now some officials are expecting a low buy rate, and the possibility of whether or not we're going to have a unification match at TLC, or we're just going to have title for title. You know, it begs the question, you know, what is WWE trying to do? What is WWE's... It's just... It's just, I guess the obvious question, folks, is, you know, what is WWE trying to do? What is the ultimate goal? What is the ultimate plan? True, word gone around is WWE is at least trying to plan ahead with long-time story. Oh, they're trying to plan long term, as far as like what matches they want to do in the future, what feuds they want to focus on, what stars they want to push. But the question is, even with all that and the constant changes, what is WWE trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish? What is the ultimate goal? I mean, this past Monday night on Raw, WWE, I guess you could say, kind of threw us a curveball. We all pretty much speculated, and it was being reported, that WWE was going to go in one direction with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan continuing the feud with the Wyatts, and that Mark Henry, who returned at Survivor Series, was going to face Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. But as we saw last night, as we saw 2 nights ago, that pretty much changed. Things kind of went a different direction. And the question is, what is WWE trying to do? I mean, now we have the announcement of a title-for-title match, possible unification, but that's not been confirmed just yet. All we know is that Triple H appeared on camera, on the big screen, on the Titantron, if you will, last night during these main event SmackDown tapings, during the main event segment, and pretty much said he would like to unify the championships, that he would like and would want to unify the championships, but he did not confirm that we're going to have it happen. It's more like Triple, according to what the description, according to what the correspondent, the person that was doing the corresponding there said, they pretty much said it pretty much sounded like Triple H was indicating that he would like to have both belts unified. He would like to have one championship. And even if that does turn out to be the case, even if we say, okay, we're going to have a unification match, it doesn't mean both championships are going to be held by one guy. They're going to merge into one. It's not that. It's not saying that's not going to happen. Eventually it will. But TLC, according to reports, is supposed to be the planning and beginning stages for something bigger leading into WrestleMania. Although, as pretty much we have seen lately, things could have changed. again, like I said in my audio video, I truly believe that the reason this TLC title for title possible unification match is happening is because WWE is trying to regain a lot of what they lost. They're trying to regain a lot of that viewership. They're trying to regain a lot of those ratings. They're trying to regain those buy rates. And they figured the best way they could do it is to do a champion versus champion, title for title, possible unification, TLC match between Cena and Orton at the pay-per-view. But does that mean the belts will be unified? No, it doesn't. It does not say that. I mean, as far as we know right now, plans still indicate that both John Cena and Randy Orton are supposed to be champions going into Elimination Chamber in February. So unless plans really change, that's still kind of on the slate. That's still kind of, on the move. But the question is exactly how is that going to happen? How is that supposed to happen? How are we supposed to get to that destination? Well, like I said in the audio video, as far as I know, there was no real indication except for maybe a few reports. But overall, there was no real indication that Randy Orton was going to be WWE champion and John Cena was going to be world champion. There was no real indication. All we know is one or the other was going to be champion. I mean, there was a few hints here and there. But here's the thing. It's like I said in the audio video last night. Who has been more synonymous in this current WWE PG Universe era with the WWE Championship? Who has been more synonymous with it in the past 8 years? And more importantly, during the Ruthless Aggression and more so during the PG Universe era, Ruthless Aggression era and the PG Universe era, who has been more synonymous with the WWE title than John Cena? Who has been more synonymous, besides the likes of Edge, Batista, and The Undertaker, who has been more synonymous, probably almost at that same level as Edge, with the World Heavyweight Championship during the Ruthless Aggression and Universe era? Who has been more synonymous with the world title besides Edge? And besides the names like Undertaker and Batista? Who has been more synonymous? Randy Orton. You see, basically, the way I look at it is both belts were meant for both individuals. It's like, when you got to get to a certain, it's like, okay, when you get to me it's like when WWE gets into a certain position, it's like, okay, they need to do this, they need to do that. They need to go back to what they feel brought them to the dance, what succeeds. And what succeeds is the fact that they know they got to have the two top guys, their answer, if you will, to a Rock and an Austin, as crazy as that sounds, to be in those top spots. That's the way they look at it. They look at their answer to Rock and Austin to be in those positions. That's what they look at. So they look at John Cena being WWE champion and Randy Orton being world champion as their answers to saying things are going to be fixed, things are going to be better now. You see, here's the thing. WWE doesn't really plan ahead that well. They try to give them credit on that, but when it comes to injuries and stuff, they don't really plan ahead well. They don't. What they need to do with guys like Cena and Orton is they need to not always have them defending the championships at live events and such if, they're not going to acknowledge it. They need not do that. What they need to do is always constantly probably put them in tag team matches if they have to. Or do what they did back in the old days, as crazy as that sounds, And that, give the champions some time off, let them rest up from injuries, let them be with their families, and elevate your mid-card titles as main event matches. Think about it. Even in live events, this helps a lot of the mid-card talent. Think about it this way. Dean Ambrose is your United States heavyweight champion. So why not do a live event down the line where Dean Ambrose is in the main event, is in the headline match, defending his title against, let's say, someone like, let's say, The Miz or a Kofi Kingston. That elevates both superstars' profile, even if it's a live event, because at least they're the main event. They're the headliner. They're the ones that close out the show. And in the long run, it benefits the two guys you want to focus on as your champions. Yeah, every now and then you can say, okay, we need you for this event on the weekend, or we need you for this event on Friday. That's fine. Go ahead, do that. But still, every now and then you need to give them a break. You do. You need to give them a break, so that way you wouldn't have to be in this situation. I mean, why do you think Daniel Bryan got the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, even for a few moments? Why do you think he got it? It wasn't because he was going to be a quick transitional champion. No. It wasn't just that. It's because John Cena was injured, and WWE wasn't expecting that. They weren't expecting their top guy to go out with an injury. They weren't expecting their WWE champion, the face of their company, their franchise player, to be out again. Yet he was. And this is why, to me, WWE needs to plan ahead for these kind of things. And when it comes to, let's say, the live events, let the mid-card titles main event them. Let them headline them. I mean, look, you've proven on Raw that if you let a mid-card championship, even if it's the tag team titles, headline your program, be the last match, be the main event, people are going to like it. People are going to get behind it because it's something different. It's something they don't rarely see. And that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. But again, it still begs the question of what is WWE trying to do? I mean, I know they're trying their best, I guess you could say, to try to stay ahead of the internet, of the IWC and the YWC and the FWC. The FWC, of course, being Facebook wrestling community, IWC, Internet Wrestling Community, YWC, YouTube Wrestling Community. I know they're trying to stay ahead of the curve. They're trying to stay ahead of them by throwing curveballs, as proven this past Monday night. But it doesn't mean it's always going to work. You know, it doesn't mean that just because you're trying doesn't mean you're going to succeed. Because sooner or later, someone is going to pick up on what you're trying to do, and they're going to say, oh, well, they're going to do it this way. This is why they're doing it, or that's why they're doing it. I mean, seriously, do you want to end up turning Daniel Bryan, who's one of your hottest baby faces right now, into a freaking heel who aligns himself with the Wyatt family? Is that what you're trying to do? Is that the plan? Oh, well, let's take him out of the title picture now, and we're thinking about putting him back in because things aren't going well. Oh, wait a minute, I got a better idea. Let's put him with the Wyatt family. You think that's going to work? It won't. It will not work. I mean, I know you're trying to escalate the profile of the Wyatts, but putting Daniel Bryan with them, it may help, but it won't. It's going to devalue it. The fact of the matter is this. Fact of the matter is this. WWE needs to really start looking at what works and what doesn't. You know why they're losing buy rates on Survivor Series? Because again, you had another screwball finish. But it's not just that either. You're going to end Survivor Series in Boston, Massachusetts, of all places, And you're going to end it with Randy Orton retaining the title and a stare-off between Cena and Orton. No. No, you're not going to do that. What you need to do, whether people like it or not, is you need to end it with John Cena regaining or retaining his title over Del Rio. That's what you needed to do. Because one, it would have helped the profile more so of Del Rio than anything, whether you like the guy or not. It's not just that. You see, one of the main problems WWE has, and this is again asking the question of what they're trying to do, is they're basically sticking with something that they feel is always a success. Yes, I understand Randy Orton and John Cena and Big Show, the bigger names, the more well-known names than that of a Daniel Bryan and a CM Punk in their eyes, in the eyes of the WWE brass, if you will. The bigger names, the bigger attractions. They can draw more. They can draw more money. Well, sometimes that doesn't work, does it? Sometimes that doesn't work, does it? Because here's why. Here's why it doesn't work. You see, it doesn't work nowadays. Here's why it doesn't work. Because people have constantly seen this. They've seen these matches. They've seen this match. They've seen it over and over again. And what's happening, whether WWE wants to admit it or not, is they're finally getting everything that they have done. All the matches that have constantly been between the same competitors, with the same results, or similar results, or whatever. It's pretty much coming back and biting them on the behind. It's backfiring in their face because pretty much everybody is saying, look, we've seen enough of the same crap. We want something different. How do you think fans are feeling right now about something? Let me give you a good example. The American Wolves. Eddie Edwards, Davey Richards. Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards debuted in NXT, not under contract, but debuted in NXT. But did they debut as the American Wolves? No. Did they debut as Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards? No. They debuted as the American Pitbulls, and under two different names. And why? Because WWE wants to own the rights to everything. Which I can understand from a business standpoint, merchandise and stuff. But still, it's like, come on. Do you think these fans are not going to know who these guys are? They pretty much knew who they were as soon as they came out. The thing is, WWE, they need to realize that everything they've tried in the past and they're still trying to do, that this whole, in their mind, hey, if it succeeds, let's do it again, kind of mode that they're in. Like, hey, if Big Show and Cena and Orton, with all due respect to these guys, because they're good athletes, don't get me wrong about that. But hey, basically to them it's like, hey, if Orton and Cena and Big Show have worked before against each other, it's like, if Cena and Del Rio have worked before against each other, let's do it again. Or if Orton and Big Show have worked together and drawn, let's do it again. And it's like, we've seen this before already. I mean, didn't we see Orton and Big Show earlier this year at Extreme Rules? Didn't we see that? Of course we did. I mean, WWE, if WWE is trying to come out and make a point towards everybody in the IWC and the YWC and the FWC by saying, hey, if you don't like what you're seeing, if you don't like what we're doing, then you know what, maybe you ought to keep your mouth shut. Then why doesn't WWE just come out and say, hey, look, we only did this because this is what you wanted, wasn't it? WWE should just say, hey, if this is not really what you want, then don't say anything and accept things for what they are. You know what, that would be better. It would have been better if Triple H and Stephanie and Vince would have just came out to the ring and said, look, We know you guys don't like the fact that we're always constantly shoving a babyface Orton in front of you, or Cena down your throat, but it's what works. It's what's best. It's what works, whether you like it or not. You know, if they do something like that, at least they just come out and acknowledge that in some ways, then fine. Everybody in the IWC, YWC, and FWC would be like, okay, fine, we get it. But don't constantly keep changing things because you don't know what's working, because you're so-called in transition. You don't do that. What you need to do is plan ahead. You need to be organized in what you do. I mean, if you're going to protect your champions so they will hold your top titles for a long time, then don't always constantly have them main eventing live events. I mean, you have fans always constantly complaining that belts like the Intercontinental title, the U.S. title, the Divas title, the tag titles, are always being treated like second-rate props. Well, guess what? If you don't want them to keep saying that, here's what you do. You give Orton, you give Cena those nights off. You let them rest up at the next town they'll probably be in. Or you let them have a few days off and you let them rest, go home and rest up with their families. Then here's what you do. In the meantime, you take your U.S. title, you take your Intercontinental title, you take your Divas title, you elevate them. You put them in the headline spots. You take your tag titles, put them in the headline spots. And that will help your product immensely. Immensely. It will. It will help your product immensely. And WWE knows this. WWE knows this. But they constantly go back to what they feel works. It's like, the buy rates are going down the buy rates are going down very badly. What do we do? Let's go back with what works. Or what succeeds. Again, what's happening is, sometimes going back to what worked before does equal success maybe later down the line, or maybe equals more buy rates and ratings down the line. Don't get me wrong on that. But nowadays, what's happening is the IWC, the YWC, and the FWC they have basically smartened up to the fact that it's backfiring in the face of WWE. WWE doesn't realize that fans already know the possible outcomes. They already know what's going to happen. And it's backfiring. Fans pretty much know that no matter what you do for this TLC match between Orton and Cena, which is a big match, don't get me wrong, title for title, and whether it's unification or not, it doesn't matter, to them it's not going to matter because they pretty much already figure you're going to have one man take the WWE. All you're going to do is probably have both men swap belts. That's it. Basically, they feel all you're going to do is have Randy get the world title and you're going to have John get the WWE title. That's it. And again, whether it's title for title, whether it's unification or not, that's pretty much what fans already feel in the IWC, the YWC, and the FWC. They already feel is going to happen. And WWE should realize that. They should realize that. Now, unless they throw us a curveball and they say, okay, we're going to end our last pay-per-view of the year with no winner, then fine, no winner, it's a draw. Or we're going to throw a curveball and we're going to have Triple H come out there in his gear and when guys are both down and knocked out, grab the belts and declare himself the champion, then hey, that's a curveball. Or unless you finally actually do a unification and say, hey, Bud Man, one champion, boom, there you go. Then that's good. That's what we would hope for, and that would work. But the thing is, folks, the IWC, the YWC, and the FWC pretty much knows whether you go ahead and officially announce this as a unification match or not, that all we're going to have is a switching of the belts. We're going to have Randy be world champion. We're going to have John be WWE champion because they pretty much know that's what's going to happen. See, the point is this. Whatever You know what? Whatever WWE is trying to do, they need to work something out that's not going to get people on them. It's not going to get people pissed off at them. You take a look at The Miz. Miz turned his back on Kofi, thus becoming a heel, a bad guy. But no, Mike Mizanin goes out and says, "Oh no, I'm not being a heel. I'm not being a bad guy. I'm being me. I'm being Mike Mizanin. I'm being The Miz. You know, I'm not the bad guy. I'm not the heel. I'm The Miz. I'm being myself now." Okay, so basically you turned him into an anti-hero. Okay, whatever. Fine. Fine. But again, WWE needs to work on something. They need to work on something that's going to not piss every fan off. It's not going to result in refunds. It's not going to result in buy rates going down. It's not going to result in ratings going down. They need to work on something. And what they need to do with the WWE brass up in Stamford, Connecticut, Triple H, Stephanie, Vince McMahon, and whoever else is up there, what they need to wake up and realize is this. What they need to wake up and realize is this. The IWC and YW, everything you're trying to do, everything you're trying to go back and say, hey, if it worked before, it'll work again. If this matchup, this feud worked before, it'll work again. They need to realize that that right now it's backfiring in their face, and they need to do what they know is right. They need to do what many IWCers, YWCers, and FWCers have been saying for years, what many wrestling outlets, insiders, critics, former wrestlers, Hall of Famers, you name it, have been saying. They need to change the product. They need to focus on the future. They need to focus on those that can go in that ring, that are charismatic, can go in that ring, entertain, and will have many more years to come. That's what they need to start doing. They need to do what they need to do. But here's the problem. See, Vince McMahon is so obsessed with the big man that he feels the big man, the big name will draw. Yes, they will draw, but they don't always have to be your champion to draw. That's been proven already. And what they need to do is they need to tear the curtain back. They need to really reset that button. They need to really hit that reset button. And they need to give others out there a chance. If you're going to push Roman Reigns, stop pushing him now. If you're going to push for a Daniel Bryan CM Punk match, push it now. Push it to the moon if you have to. And if you need to, have one of them be the WWE World Champion, and have that match at WrestleMania, and do what's best for business. Do what the YWC. You want to give the fans what they want? Give them an Iron Man match for 30 minutes between the two, 2 out of 3 falls, or whatever you want to call it, and I guarantee you fans will be happy with that. You see, that's what WWE needs to do. If they're going to have CM Punk win the Royal Rumble, like they're planning, then you have CM Punk main event